Welcome back to Squawk Box. We are just a few seconds away from a bunch of new economic data we're expecting, including October durable goods orders. You've also got a revised look at the third quarter GDP. Right now, futures down by about 114. Rick Santelli standing by at the CME in Chicago. Rick, the numbers, please.
Yes, a litany of data, Becky, so we're going to go really slow. It's all running by my eyes. 199,000 on initial claims. Now, that's a nice Thanksgiving present. We breached 200,000 for the first time post-COVID. And if we look at what's going on with respect to continuing claims, last week it was 2,080,000. This week, 2,049,000. So we continue to make progress there as well. On the trade deficit, wow, for October, this is really big news. We went from a record-setting getting close to minus 100 billion in the high 90s to minus 82.9. Now, granted, it isn't great news, but it is very good news that it's moved under 90 and so close to minus 80 billion. With regard to wholesale inventories, they were up 2.2%. Anything with inventories is good. This is double expectations. Retail inventories, 2.1%, about as expected. Now let's look at our second time around the block on third quarter GDP. 2.2 last time. We give a tenth away. 2.1, not huge, but 2.1%. And if we look at consumption, it improved. This is important. Consumption's been running hot. We're a consumption economy, and inflation is going to bite into that, obviously. But it was 1.7%, gaining 1/10 from 1.6 on the price index. 5.9%. 5.9%. Now, this follows 5.7%. And what's interesting here is that these are moving down from historic levels. On this particular read, 6.1 is the all-time high just several months ago. And if we look at quarter over quarter, personal consumption expenditure, it was up 4.5, exactly as expected, exactly like our last look. And what's really weird is, just like the price index, they both comp to historic 40-year highs at 6.1 for the month of June. So we have moderated a bit. Now, if we look at durable good orders, this is a preliminary number. I told you there's a lot. Take a breath. This is preliminary. It's going to change, but it's still a very strong number expected and a big disappointment. Now, this is the biggest miss of all. Down 0.5%. We're expecting a number up 0.3%. And if we look at ex-transportation, it came out as expected, up 0.5. So we could see transportation figured in dramatically, lowering the numbers because it came out as expected when you pulled it out, up 0.6 on capital good orders, non-defense ex-air, a proxy for business spending. It's called core durable goods, and it is a solid number. And if we look at shipments versus orders, it's up 0.3%, a little bit on the light side. A lot of data points there, Becky, but I think probably the best news is we're moderating on price, moderating on deficits, and moving into new territory on initial claims. Back to you, Becky, and I hope you and yours have a very happy, healthy Thanksgiving.
Very happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, too, my friend Rick. Very quickly, all those sound like we're moving in the right direction. Would the miss for durable goods, when you still consider transportation as part of it, is that because people aren't getting car sales because they're not getting delivered?
I think that's a good chunk of it as well. I do think that there's some issues with regard to airplanes mixed in there as well. But yes, mostly autos. So what you're really pointing to is the meat on the bone, is that it is a negative, but it is a negative that should come back, and there's not much that can be done about it until some of these supply issues work themselves out.
Happy Thanksgiving, my friend. See you next week.
Thank you. You too.
Let's get over to Steve Leisman. He's been digging through all these numbers, too. And, Steve, this is a mountain of data. Rick's kind of looking at this like we're moving in the right direction. I take it you see it the same way.
Yeah, can I spend a moment and just clap for how Rick handled all of that data? It's really quite amazing. You know, there but the grace of God go I. If Rick decided to take today off, it would have been me, and it would have been a hot mess, is what I can tell you for sure. What is interesting about all this is Rick's terrific delivery gave me time to do some analysis, over 2.5 minutes of time, which is unusual. And I want to zero in on just the question that you asked Rick, not knowing you were going to ask it, which is the auto sector. Of all of these numbers, the best number in this is the auto parts number for durables, which was up. The orders were up 4.8%. The shipments were up 4.3%. What this could mean, and this is early days because it's the first good number we've had in a while, is that perhaps we're making some progress on the issues that have backed up the auto industry. And I say this only, Becky, because I'm personally trying to get a car these days, and it's very difficult. So it may be that things are getting a little brighter. That's one. When it comes to the auto side, you're exactly correct. There was a huge swoon in the really Boeing orders. Boeing plays a huge factor in the durable goods report, which is it was down, civilian aircraft was down 14.5%. I'm not really worried about that. I'm happy to kind of throw that out because it's a month-to-month thing. I don't see a broader problem. But the other thing that Rick pointed out, the non-civilian investment numbers, not non-civilian aircraft goods numbers and investment numbers, up 0.6%. What we have here, Becky, we've had a pretty strong, I don't know if we talk enough about this, and sustained investment cycle here from business. And I do believe that a part of that is a response of business and corporations to the labor crunch. And you have a really nice kind of investment cycle that's been going on. I didn't get a chance to look at the year-over-year rate on the investment number. That feeds into GDP. Very quickly on GDP, I didn't get a chance. It just dumped the details here to look at the details of GDP, but it was certainly a disappointment. We expected an upgrade on spending and on inventories. I don't know that we got them. I'll have to take a broader look at that. Stay tuned for 10 o'clock. We'll get the monthly inflation numbers, which are the ones, the PCE core and the PCE, and that's the ones that the Fed follows. And then at 2 o'clock, of course, Becky, we have the minutes. Have a happy holiday.